Coming up, alternative ways to increase exports abroad. Kazakhstan and the EU are strengthening ties and developing cooperation in several directions. Details in the material of our correspondent. An agricultural bank may appear in Kazakhstan. Find out what functions it will perform from our news digest. Second place among 192 states, the Pavilion of Kazakhstan became one of the best at the World EXPO 2020 in Dubai. Economic and trade cooperation, partnership in energy, agriculture and green economy. Kazakhstan and the EU are ready to continue cooperation in these areas. Moreover, Brussels positively assesses the socio-economic and political reforms being implemented in Kazakhstan on the initiative of Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. This became known following two-day talks with representatives of the European Commission and the European Council. In addition, the parties also talked about the possible impact on the country of sanctions imposed by the EU on neighboring Russia. Brussels expressed full understanding of Kazakhstan's concern and expressed its readiness to provide maximum support in this regard.
Казахстан поставляет большое количество нефти, как вы знаете, во многие страны Европейского Союза. И особенно я бы хотел...
As you know, Kazakhstan supplies a large amount of oil to many countries of the European Union. And I would like to particularly emphasize that in the context of our policy of multi-vector pipeline strategy, the discussion of the development of Kazakhstan's transit and transport potential was very important for us. As the largest landlocked country, Kazakhstan depends on its transit neighbors, but we would like to reduce this dependence and get more access to international markets. In particular, we can talk about the Trans-Caspian route, known as Middle Corridor. As you may recall, we have also used Iranian and Chinese destinations. And of course, we hope that Kazakhstan will still be able to continue using the northern route too.
У нас есть и китайское направление, ну и, конечно же, мы надеемся на то, что все-таки Казахстан сможет по-прежнему эффективно использовать и северный маршрут.
The trade turnover between Kazakhstan and the EU member states amounted to $6 billion in the first 2 months of 2022. This is almost 71% more than in the same period of the previous year, the Kaz Trade Policy Development Center reported. At the same time, exports from Kazakhstan to the EU countries in January-February increased by almost 85% and amounted to more than $5 billion. Experts attribute the growth in supplies to an increase in the export of such goods as oil and oil products, ferroalloys, aluminum, wheat and natural gas. Kazakhstan in turn imports from the EU medicines, gas turbines, computers, telephones, ferrous metal products and other products. An agricultural bank may appear in Kazakhstan. It is necessary in order to strengthen support for farmers, says Murat Bakhtiyarullah, member of the Senate of the Kazakh parliament. He believes that this measure will provide significant support to the industry, which is now particularly needed. He stressed that the issue was addressed to the MPs by the agricultural producers themselves, who complained about the critical condition of irrigated lands and the deplorable state of water supply and sewerage systems. Another problem is the high cost of mineral fertilizers, he said. Compared to last year, this year's prices have increased almost threefold. Intermediaries play a significant role in this process, as a result of which the cost of products significantly increases.
Біздің ауыл шаруашылық өндірушілері Евразиялық экономикалық одақтағы Ресей, Беларусь елдерінің ауыл шаруашылығы тауарларын өндірушілермен
Our agricultural producers cannot compete with those from Russia and Belarus. The thing is that these countries have agricultural banks that pledged land and property of peasants as security and grant long-term, long-cost loans. These banks have branches in all districts. We would like to draw your attention to the fact that the issue of opening such a specialized agricultural bank in our country has been raised in the parliament several times, but it has not yet been resolved and is waiting for the positive decision.
Шешімін таппай жатқан мамандандырылған ауыл шаруашылық банкін ашу мәселесін арнайы қарауыңызды, оның оң шешілуін бүкіл шаруалар күтіп отырғанына назарыңызды аударғымыз келеді.
A special website for exporters and importers was launched in Kazakhstan. The so-called guidebook for business published a list of sanctions, constraints, and goods prohibited for export and import to Russia and Belarus in order to warn entrepreneurs. With the imposition of sanctions against Russia and Belarus by a number of countries, entrepreneurs have many questions now. Does this or that product or bank fall under sanctions? It is relevant considering not only the export of Kazakh products to these countries. As you know, we freely trade with the whole world, and in the conditions of a single Eurasian customs space, the transfer of goods is as simple as possible. In addition, quite a lot of goods oriented to Russia and Belarus come through Kazakhstan, and our task now is not to fall under the special attention of the countries that have imposed sanctions because of the risk of re-export, wrote Minister of Trade and Integration Bahit Sultanov on his Facebook account. In addition, a list of international companies that have decided to leave the markets of the two countries can be found on this platform. All information is taken from the official websites of governments. Moreover, it will be updated as new data are available, the minister said. In Kazakhstan, norms to protect part-time workers have come into effect at the legislative level. The corresponding convention was ratified today by the Senate, the upper house of the Kazakh parliament. It provides for equal rights for all employees at the international level and applies to all branches of economic activity. Only certain categories of workers and enterprises fall under the exception. It is worth noting that this convention was adopted at the General Conference of the International Labour Organization in June 1994.
Бұл конвенция толық емес жұмыс уақыты бойынша
The aforementioned convention is aimed at protecting the interests of part-time workers. In particular, it protects their rights to receive wages, as well as to be subject to occupational safety and health, social security, annual paid leave or sick leave.
Жыл сайынғы ақылы немесе ауру бойынша демалысқа қатысты құқықтарын қорғайды.
According to the Bureau of National Statistics, in the fourth quarter of last year, about 470,000 workers in various industries were employed part-time. Over the past day, Kazakhstan detected 21 new cases of coronavirus. Most of the new infections were registered in Almaty, which is 8. 5 infected were reported in the capital and 2 in the East Kazakhstan region and Shymkent each. In general, since the beginning of the pandemic, more than 1,305,000 people caught the virus. Furthermore, the vaccination campaign continues in Kazakhstan. To date, more than 9,161,000 people have already been immunized with 2 components of the coronavirus vaccine. The World Health Organization released an updated strategic preparedness, readiness and response plan for COVID-19. It outlines 3 possible scenarios for the development of the pandemic in 2022. Experts explain that the most likely scenario is that the virus will continue to develop, but the severity of the disease it causes will decrease over time due to the increased immunity caused by vaccination and past infection. In addition, the WHO noted that in the future, surges in morbidity and mortality may occur as herd immunity weakens. This in turn may require periodic immunization for vulnerable categories of population. According to the international organization, over the past week, more than 10 million people in the world were infected with the coronavirus and more than 45,000 died. Germany expanded the category of citizens who can receive the fourth vaccine shot against coronavirus. People with immunodeficiency older than 5 years are offered to take a second booster jab because for them the course of the disease is much more severe. Residents of the country can get vaccinated as before in vaccination centers as well as by inviting a mobile team. The procedure is available 3 months after the previous one. To date, almost 76% of citizens in Germany, which is 63 million people, are fully immunized.
Die Fallzahl ist zwar heute leicht gesunken, aber
At the moment, the number of new infections has slightly decreased, but the rates remain high. Our hospitals are overflowing. This trend may continue. Despite the forthcoming relaxations of the restrictive measures, I ask the federal states to apply the rule of red regions in case the healthcare system overloads. This means that in such a zone, the population needs to be careful. We expect people to voluntarily wear masks.
umzusetzen sind, insbesondere die Hotspot-Regelung, aber auch andere Regelungen.
Second place among 192 states, the Kazakhstan Pavilion was named as one of the best at the EXPO 2020 Dubai, EXPO Congress reports. Germany took first place and Italy took third. In total, 1,617,000 people have visited Kazakhstan's exhibition site since the opening.
Demands that we rethink the challenges ahead of us. How we imagine our future today.
The Kazakhstan Pavilion is located on the Opportunity District section, in close proximity to the main pavilion of the UAE. There, visitors received information about the region's place in the world, history, culture, tourism potential, economic and investment opportunities of the country. On the outside, it is made in an oriental style, but complemented by modern technical capabilities. The entrance arch of the pavilion is decorated with petroglyphs and elements of the Scythian Saka culture. The country spent about 8 billion tenge on this magnificence. EXPO 2020 Dubai kicked off on October 1st last year and has continued until today. Kazakhstan took part in the prestigious international Mediterranean tourism market in Israel. This is one of the largest fairs in the Middle East. Tourist organizations and companies from more than 50 countries presented their exposition there. However, according to the visitors, the colorful Kazakh yurt gathered special attention among the pavilions built in the high-tech style.
Біздер елшіліктің көмегімен киіз үй тігіп қазақ елінің дәстүрін.
We decided to make a pavilion in the national style to tell and show our culture. The yurt attracts a lot of attention while visitors are treated to our dishes and learn about our tourist destinations.
Халық лек-легімен топ-топ болып келіп жатыр. Оның ішінде мына біздің киіз үй өте тартымды болып тұр.
Sure, the idea of putting a pavilion here in the form of a yurt is simply brilliant. We have never seen such interest. On the sidelines of the professional platform for representatives of the tourism sector, participants were able to not only learn about new tourist destinations, but also to establish fruitful cooperation. Kazakhstan is a promising tourist destination for Israel. It is now being decided on the opening of direct flights and the abolition of the visa regime. We consider Kazakhstan as a very promising tourism destination. It is attractive both for the business as well as for individual tourists. Bursa has been declared the 2022 cultural capital of the Turkic world. This Turkish city was proclaimed this honorary title last year following the 38th term meeting of the Permanent Council of Ministers of Culture of Turksoy member countries. Since then, Bursa has turned into a center for various festivals, conferences and festivities. The official ceremony for this occasion took place just yesterday. The event was held as part of the traditional two-week celebration of the spring holiday Nowruz. As Dusen Kasiyinov noted, the recognition of cities as cultural Turkic capitals contributes to their revival and development.
Европада, Европа мәдениет бас қалалары міне қанша жыл, 40 жылдай болды. Біздің бастағанымыз міне 12 жыл. Түркиясының күлтүр
For almost 40 years, Bursa has been called the European capital of culture, and we started doing it in 2012. This announcement made a big advertisement for Turkey. An even greater number of people of different categories started traveling to the country, including young people and various creative teams coming to the festival. Despite its splendor, this city has become popular thanks to its visitors and tourists who came here.
Қандай әдемі болса да, қандай бай болса да, адамдар келмесе, туристер келмесе, оны бір-біріне айтып, бір-біріне рекомендация жасамаса, ол қалаларды ешкім танымайды.
In 2012, the Council of the International Organization Turksoy chose Astana, the main city of Kazakhstan, as the first cultural capital of the Turkic world.